I'm calling it right now. Conor Garland is going to have 70 points, okay? Why? Well, he's going to have the opportunity, and once again, size doesn't matter. Now, my girlfriend doesn't agree with that, but luckily I give good hugs, and every good relationship has their problems. Is this a problem, though? Like, if Conor Garland is our second best forward or our first best forward, is that a problem? Can we just do this episode of Locked On Canucks?
The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bhawan. This right here is Locked On Canucks. One love to the Don't Does Art Lab for giving us a space to give you that West Coast bias. And one love to FanDuel, okay? Powering today's episode. Boom, bam, do the math. If you're new to FanDuel, place a $5 bet. Do your thing, win the bet, and get $300 in bonus bets. Is it $300? Is it still $300? Let me read that. Boom, bam, yes, it is. Visit FanDuel.com. And that's a big win. That's a big win. 300 out of $5. Boom, bam. Do the math. Your wife's going to be happy. Speaking of big, Conor Garland. He's going to have, in my opinion, the biggest role he's had on a team in his hockey career. And that's saying a little bit, considering, I don't know, he won a World Hockey Championship for the first time in like 100 years for Team USA a couple months ago. But let's be real and let's be honest. That's a World Hockey Championship, okay? Who gives a puck? Okay, one of the smallest NHL forwards, the American, right now in the game, is going to have a big role in the Canadian market. Like, this is what every hockey player sort of dreams of. Being the man, being the alpha. And just looking at this roster, looking at the skill, looking at the play driving, and looking at the potential inability for this team to generate a lot of offense from their forwards. Again, forward thinking, you're looking at Conor Garland being a huge part to everything Vancouver Canucks. And I want to know, let us know in the comments, do you think Conor Garland takes the next step in his career? Now, remember, way back when, Conor Garland, when he was a young man or a young kid playing in Quebec, he's putting up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of points, right? An offensive juggernaut. One of the best in the league. And yeah, he falls in the draft, isn't a top pedigree guy, but that's because of size, right? We're talking about old hockey heads. Size does matter. But man, oh man, Conor Garland being what? How tall is Conor Garland? 5'7", 5'8", whatever it is. He's defied the odds, tapped into his skill, has a lot of tenacity, has learned a lot about the two-way part of the game, and has carved out a really rich NHL career, right? Speaking of rich, he just signed that extension with the Vancouver Canucks a couple months ago. We're looking at a long-time Canuck when it's all said and done. And again, right now in front of him, he has a huge opportunity to make a lot of us happy. But can he do it? Can Conor Garland take the next step in his career? Can he be a 70 to 80 point guy? And is that asking for a lot? Can he do it? Now let's get to the comments. Calder Kid Petey saying, I think he's going to have a career year. Yes, I do believe he can be that guy. And Calder Kid Petey, for a while has been the most optimistic guy on the program. Our biggest hater, but shows up every episode because I feel like he's been trying to make us more positive, spreading that love, not letting our differences get in the way of the ultimate goal. And that's for all of us to hug, for all of us to be optimal, for all of us to see this through and get the most out of the Vancouver Canucks experience. And again, for the fourth and fifth time, for us to have that this season, Conor Garland has to be a 70 to 80 point guy. And let's be real, I'm not the fancy stat guy. Trevor Beggs, he's going to join us very soon. He's just on a phone call, Big J Journal stuff. Who knows who he's interviewing? He has the data in front of him. But man, oh man, I'm assuming based on, what other people have been saying, Conor Garland is one of our best 5-on-5 players. What's that saying? He's a play driver and one of the best to do that, again, on this team. And to me, what does that mean based on my eye test and based on your eye test as well? It's the fact that this guy always has the puck on his stick. It's the fact that when he's on the ice, and again, I don't know how he does this, because sometimes he's playing with Teddy Bluger. Sometimes it feels like he's playing with Ronald Kennens. Sometimes it feels like he's playing with Tim Schaller. He's just playing with everyone and anyone. But when he's on the ice, the puck is in the offensive zone. He's making things happen. And again, that's based on his skill, his puck control ability, and also his tenacity. And he's such a unique player because, yeah, he's 4'2". 5'7", 5'8", whatever he is, 165. But his ability to win board battles is miraculous, if I said that right, because how is he doing it? How is he doing that? Picking up the puck most of the time along the boards. Well, it's because, again, he doesn't give up, and he's just so cerebral. He's so intelligent. And again, we're talking about a guy who had like 100+ points in the queue, right? Like, the guy thinks the game on an elite level. He's thinking of the next thing before you. Like, that's how he's able to pick up pucks in the corner against guys who are giants, right? Because everyone to him is a giant. Straight up. So again, offensively speaking, maybe he doesn't have the hardest shot. Maybe he's, not the most elite playmaker. With that being said, he is very good at playmaking. Maybe he's not all of that, but more often than not, the puck is on a stick, and we're making things happen. To be honest, specifically speaking, like he's just a great guy to pair up with Quinn Hughes and Filip Chytil. He's a guy who's going to get the puck. He's going to get it back to the point. You get it to those guys. Next thing you know, it's only on Quinn Hughes' stick, and things are going to happen. A really good player. But, can he take the next step? What does that mean? What does that look like? Outside of, his intangibles, continuing to, either get better or just be where they're at right now. Well, it's the opportunity, right? You're talking about a guy that may get more power play time. I believe he had, about 7 goals last year on the power play, if Trevor is correct. Was it 13 points or 16 points? That's more so than ever before. It feels like that for Conor Garland. But yeah, he's going to get more power play time. And there's that chance that he's not going to have to do it all alone. And I know there's this testament out there that, like, you need to put Conor Garland in the bottom 6, because whether it be with Aatu Räty, or whether it be with Braeden Cootes, or whether it be with Teddy Bluger, it's more optimal for this team's depth to have Conor Garland on his own line, which is cool, and I get it. In fact, I want to touch more on him and Braeden Cootes, or him and Aatu Räty potentially playing for a long time together. But man, oh man, what if this guy found chemistry with Filip Chytil up the lineup with somebody more skilled than all those other guys? Well, what if this guy finds even more quote-unquote success with Elias Pettersson? Because based on the data, they're already good at playing together. In fact, that's kind of like the best pair on this team. So yeah, what if he gets those opportunities outside the power play? Like, is Conor Garland then somewhat of an elite winger? Like, is this a good comp? And please let me know in the comments again if you believe Conor Garland can take the next step, because I'm about to say something that's kind of crazy, but based on my eye test, is Conor Garland potentially a poor man's Mitch Marner? Maybe a tier behind his defensive play, a couple tiers away from Mitch Marner's offensive play. But all in all, at his peak, you pair him with a good player. Is Conor Garland that good? Is he a poor man's Mitch Marner? Trevor Beggs.
Whoa!
No, I'm just saying in general. I'm just saying in general. Like, I look at this guy. He's a smaller player. He's a smart player, though, cerebral. He's all over the puck. He's not bad defensively. Some would say he's the best play driver offensively on this team 5-on-5. And I just wonder if you put him with good players, like not Braeden Cootes, not Aatu Räty, not Teddy Bluger. Like, if you put him with Filip Chytil, or you just give him an extended look, with Elias Pettersson? Is there a way to unlock like that side of him? Because a part of me believes that like A, he's a better forward than Brock Boeser, and B, we kind of need this guy to get another 15 points this year. Like, it's cool. Congratulations, Conor Garland. You're a 50-point guy. You're a good player. Boom, bam. But more efficiency and more conversion is what this team needs.
100%, man. And I think people forget, Conor Garland tied Brock Boeser for the team lead in points among forwards last season. But I do think there's a really strong chance this guy can break out of that, 20-goal, 50-point prototype that he's been the past couple of seasons. And I think a big part of it is the team being better around him, right? Like in 23-24, he was a third line guy, right? Luxury on the third line, and he still managed to, put up some decent numbers for that role. Last year, he plays in an elevated role, but most of his line mates kind of sucked. So now you enter this season, and it's like kind of like you're alluding to, Kyle. Whether it's a Pettersson or a Chytil, it should be a top 6 center for Conor Garland. I know he's been skating with Höglander and Bluger, but there's a potential for this guy to finally kind of break out of that 50-point plateau and be a 65, 70-point player. And I think it is playing in the top 6. Plus, he's that damn good. Puck distributor on his line. If his line mates are better, coupled with the fact that this guy could get regular power play time, we just haven't seen that from Conor Garland outside of a couple months last season. And guess what? In limited minutes, he had 7 goals and 16 power play points, both career highs. So, look, I do think Conor Garland can be an X factor for this team because he's been here a while, but he does kind of get forgotten about a bit among Canucks stars, or maybe not mentioned among Canucks stars. But man, oh man, Conor Garland, the smallest guy in the NHL, could be the biggest X factor for the Canucks. I do firmly believe that.
But don't you feel like he's already like been the X factor? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't you feel like he's kind of already, I don't know, given us an opportunity to hope that he's more than just that? Like, can he be our second best forward? Can he, like, when you have a number one center like Elias Pettersson, when you lose a JT Miller, like, can this guy just answer me this question? Like, do you see, is there a world where this guy gets to 70 to 80 points? We need another guy to, because I don't know if Boeser is doing that.
Yeah, I mean, Boeser certainly has the potential to do it, right? And the Canucks, after signing that deal, he's the highest paid winger on this team. They better hope that he has that kind of ceiling to his game, or else it could be more the same this season, right? But if you have Boeser and Garland, 2 right wingers, both playing like first line wingers on separate lines, and the Canucks could be cooking with something here, Kyle.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe that's me being a little pessimistic towards Brock Boeser, even though, I think this guy could be a two-way force, give us 30 to 35 goals, be all that. But I don't know, just driving to work today, just kind of listening to what other pundits in the community are saying about Conor Garland, and based on the data, and I don't know if you had the data in front of you, like, I'm pretty much hearing that this guy is just not just good at hockey, but so good at, again, being a top guy on an NHL team. Like, he's there, and all he's lacking is either more efficiency / more conversion, or, again, Trevor, playing with better players. Because I get it. It's cool if he has, his own line to play on, because at least you spread out the depth, and now you have more lines that could, garner some zone time offensively for this club, more so than who they're playing against. But I think for a team that lacks, and this is not a slight, but a lot of chemistry throughout their forward group, putting the most skilled guys together is something I'm actually way more fond of, as opposed to just, spreading it out.
Yeah, I mean, this Canucks team, like, let's not pretend this is 23-24 and they have all this depth, right? You got to, I think, stack your offense on the first couple of lines, and then, ride with the guys who are going to check hard, skate hard in the bottom 6, right? And guys, this team does have some depth on the wings. You're going to get guys like potentially Höglander or Kane or Sherwood dropping down the lineup into the bottom 6. But Kyle, like you're saying, it's this idea that we can just put Conor Garland on the third line. Like, let's put that to bed. This guy was tied for the lead in points among forwards last season. Why the heck is he on the third line? Doesn't make any sense. Let us know in the comments. Can Conor Garland finally break out and have a career year? When I say career year, I'm not just saying get to 55 points. Can this guy hit 65, maybe even 70 points? Shout out to you, Kyle Bhawan, for carrying the first half of Locked On Canucks. Let's get back on the other side to talk about best spot for Conor Garland, previewing the game tonight, and other news and notes surrounding your Vancouver Canucks. Before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel. Man, oh man, if you're betting on NFL, NHL, or competitive ballet, make sure you go check out FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I don't know if I can say this on air, Kyle, but I let my daughter make my week 4 NFL picks, and
That's okay. That's illegal. First of all,
is it illegal? Okay, well let's table that right there. But I was checking out FanDuel today, and they got odds up for the men's Olympic ice hockey gold medal winner. Canada is a slight favorite at plus 150, US at plus 200, Sweden and Elias Pettersson at 550, Finland 4th at 750. Hey, maybe you're even feeling spicy. Filip Chytil playing for Czechia. They're next at plus 1400. So you can bet on the Olympics, you can bet on NHL, you can bet on NFL, you can do it all on FanDuel. So are you ready to play? Go download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet today.
People, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Do us all a favor if you're watching this on the YouTube side. Hit the like button, okay? Again, happy wives, happy lives. Trevor, your wife, again, she messaged me a couple days ago, or was it yesterday, and she wants to go to the Mel Robbins thing that's happening on May the 10th. So I just gave you a birthday gift idea. I know her birthday's, not sometime in May. There you go, boom, bam. And if you want Trevor to make his wife happy and be able to afford those Mel Robbins tickets, because, she's the biggest author in North America, one of them, the like button can go a long way, man. And share the show with your friends, boom, bam. Again, happy wives, happy lives. I got a girlfriend, likes Cactus Club. Do the math. And again, speaking of the math, Trevor, the whole Garland thing, man, how is he going to take the next step in his career? Can he do it? I think you have to break all of that down to ultimately get him to 70 points. And, that brings up the power play thing. It's not just who he plays with 5-on-5, but is Conor Garland a power play guy? And I don't know why it doesn't gross me out that he's one of our biggest options on the power play. But he's one of our best playmaking wingers. And is he the guy who replaces JT Miller full-time there on the left side? Because I have another option, but I just want you to go off on that. Is Conor Garland a good power play option for the Vancouver Canucks?
I don't think he's a bad power play option for the Vancouver Canucks. Kind of like I was saying to end off that first segment, it's not a role he's regularly assumed throughout his NHL career, right? Hasn't had to do it in Vancouver, largely been a second unit guy on the power play. But I do think he's got the potential to do it, to be honest with you. I think, he's a smart, cerebral player. He's a good playmaker. I think he can have some success on the half wall there. And Kyle, last season being one of the first times he was on the top power play unit for an extended period of time, I think he had some good numbers last season, right? Career high again, 16 points on the power play, 7 goals, though he did shoot 25%. That's probably a bit unsustainable. But yeah, again, it really hasn't been since his Arizona days that he was, playing top unit on the power play. And as a younger guy with not a lot of talent around him, he didn't have that much success there. But yeah, to answer your question, Kyle, I definitely think he can do it. Even in 22-23 in a secondary power play role, his points per 60, we're pretty high. Like I said, the upper echelon of the NHL. So I'm curious, man. But okay, all right, come on. This is a hyping up Conor Garland episode, and now you're trying to take him off the power play. Kyle, what are you doing?
Well, I don't know. We paid Brock Boeser a lot of money, and sure, he's good in front of the net, and sure, okay, he's an option with the bumper position on the power play. He's good at tipping pucks. He scored a couple goals like that too. Because I was kind of questioning that, is he a good bumper guy? But then I remember, he's good at deflecting pucks. He's just a smart player. So having him in the middle with Quinnies at the top allows that wrist shot, slap pass thingy to possibly be a threat for the Canucks on the power play. But all in all, why aren't we giving Brock Boeser more options to go back in time and be what we thought he was going to be back in 2019 or whatever, 2018, I guess? He was the guy on the left side of the power play. He's right-handed, has that big shot. I know we haven't seen him go bar down a lot in recent history, but isn't he supposed to be a skilled guy too? Can't he be a playmaker as well? Can't he just feed Quinn Hughes and make that like maybe cross ice pass to Elias Pettersson on the power play at the top of the power play? And again, he has the right-handed shot on the left side. Like that should be a weapon, no?
I see what you're doing here, Kyle. Okay, you know what? We had to talk
I'm just
quickly on the
saying,
phone.
why are we so like? Can we paid this guy for a lot of money? You know, let's see if we can unlock an elite swaggy Brock Boeser once again, Trevor.
Yeah, it's been some time. It's interesting, right? 9 power play goals last year, 16 the year before, like 25 power play goals over the past 2 seasons, but most of them came from around the front of the net in the greasy areas. And I know DeBrus kind of took over that role late last season. I've liked Boeser in the bumper spot because, you know, much like Bo Horvat, I think that's a spot where you can still get your shot off quick, something that Boeser can do well. But because he can snipe from distance, and we know that about him, I don't hate the idea of him being on the left wall there. My instinct has been that Garland is a better playmaker. Let him distribute. And again, Boeser can still fire a shot from the slot there. But Kyle, I don't know, man. It's something about your voice, your charm, man. I'm starting to warm up to this. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, go when you hit up a Canucks practice, like next up, like just talk to the media folk about that. Like, why aren't we like just trying that out, experimenting that? I think that like maybe yesterday when Conor Garland was hurt or away from practice, they had Evander Kane doing all that. And I don't know about that necessarily, but I don't know. I just kind of want to see Brock Boeser there. And if we're looking for another bumper option, I mean, who has a better shot, Brock Boeser or Evander Kane? Like, honestly speaking, I think I think we'd like to think Brock Boeser, but I don't know. You just talked about this guy scoring 25 goals over the last 2 years, you know, tapping in empty netters, you know, and just banging home rebounds and doing it. Like, he hasn't shown off his shot too much. I know there was that goal against St. Louis, which was a rocket. Like, I love to see that, you know, like where is that Brock more often than not? And at the end of the day, all goals are the same. I get it. But this team did lose an extreme amount of skill on the left side of their power play with JT Miller leaving. Like, is there again a world where we can see if we can unlock another level of Brock, give him that confidence that, yo, you could be that guy. You were that guy from North Dakota, right? You were that guy when it was Henrik and Daniel and you won the power play not that long ago in your rookie year. Like, just be that guy. And not to like put a slight on Conor Garland, but whatever, man. Like, if he's not the first unit power play guy, like I still think there's room for him to, you know, take the next step in his career. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm curious. Let's see what happens here, Trevor.
Let's see what happens. And, you know, again, Brock Boeser, I think the nice thing about him is that he's shown that he can score in the bumper, he can score at the net front, and he can score in the half wall. So you do have options there with Brock Boeser. Brock Boeser currently sitting 7th all-time among Canucks players with 73 power play goals. His next one will tie him with Stan Smyl. He's also 6 power play goals away from tying Todd Bertuzzi. So good chance that this season Brock Boeser will be top 5 all-time in power play goals scored by the Vancouver Canucks. Kyle, I'm going to prepare you for a little Trevor's trivia. That's coming up on the other side. We'll also talk about the Vancouver Canucks playing in Abbotsford tonight here on Locked On Canucks. All right. We're back here on Locked On Canucks. And Kyle, I mentioned it. All right, Brock Boeser, 7th all-time in power play goals. He could pass Smyl and Bertuzzi in short order. But let's hit the button, man. You know what question's coming.
Trevor's trivia starts now.
All right, Kyle, let me know. Who are the other 4 Canucks, the top 4 Canucks in terms of power play goals scored in franchise history?
Daniel, Naslund.
That's your top 2.
Pavel Bure, I guess? No?
You think so, but no.
Is Conor Garland the next Pavel Bure? Probably based on that one.
Man.
Okay, who did you name off the top? You said Bertuzzi?
Bertuzzi and Smyl are right now number 6 and 5, so Boeser's close to passing him. You got the top 2. It's Daniel Steen first, Marcus Naslund second. You need 3 and 4, and you got to go back to 1. No, Horvat is he's top 10. He's actually 9th, but no. You got to go back to the 80s and the 90s for these guys.
80s, man. Come on, man. I was Tony Tanti?
Yeah, he's 3rd. Okay, one more.
In the 90s? Did I already say Trevor Linden?
You did not. Oh, where's the Kyle? Oh my God, you did it, man. You did it. I'm proud of you, brother. Nice work. Yeah,
Come
you got
on.
it. So Daniel Sedin, Marcus Naslin, Tony Tanti, Trevor Linden, Todd Bertuzzi, Stan Smeal, and then Brock Boeser are the power play goal leaders in franchise history for your Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah. Conor Garland is about to catch up.
I don't know if I see Conor Garland on this list, by the way, but that's all right. That's details, baby. Details. Okay. Let's go to the comments, man, because this one's going to help me lead into what I want to talk about next here on Locked On Canucks. Callum McKenzie saying more starters in the lineup tonight down in Abbotsford, and the short answer is no. So Patrick Alvin basically said that these lines, courtesy of Brendan Batchelor, will be playing in Abbotsford tonight. You have a first line of Höglander, Chytil, Mackenzie McEachran, second line of Bain, Sasson, and Carlson, third line of Kratsov, Ratu, and Stillman, fourth line, big boy fourth line of Joe Lebate, Nils Åman, Vilmer Ulriksson. It does look like the D were kind of rotating, but it looks like it's likely Marcus Pettersson with Tom Olander, Tyler Myers with Kirill Kudryavtsev, and Victor Mancini with Nikolai Nizov, although, again, they were all rotating at practice yesterday. So it's not a veteran lineup, but Kyle, maybe tell me, like, who are the guys you're most excited to see tonight?
Well, it's got to be. I think it's so obvious. It's got to be Chytil and Höglander. No, like, are you hearing things, Trevor? Because now this is the second game in a row where they're paired up together. Is that like I don't know. Is that their dream duo when it comes to like who they want to pair Filip Chytil with? The Höglander thing.
I think it's an option for the Canucks for sure. Again, it's hard to read too much into it. Like at training camp, it was Kane and Chytil that were tied at the hip, right? So, and Kane obviously hasn't played, in a game yet with Filip Chytil in the preseason. So, I think it's an option for the Canucks, and it's a big opportunity for Nils Höglander to show that he's got some chemistry with the top six guy. Maybe taking some of those lessons that he talked about earlier this week. Not being too fancy with the star players, but doing the dirty work and getting to the net. I find it interesting that you went with the forwards. I guess I have more bubble guys in my mind, but I want to see what Mancini looks like again. He had a lot of success in this ring last season for Abbotsford. Can he keep that up? And then Tom Olander, right? I didn't think it was a bad preseason game for him, but just want to see that if he can stay in the roster conversation here, right? It does feel like he's destined to go to Abbotsford at this point, but can he have another performance? And kind of telling that for the most part of that practice yesterday, he skated with Marcus Pettersson. After skating with Derek Forward at camp, well, as Victor Mancini's been paired with young Elias Pettersson and like Nikolai Nizov, right? So it looks like Tom Olander's been, put with the veterans a bit more in training camp, whereas Mancini, a couple of years older, has maybe been left to fend for himself a little bit more, for lack of a better term. But I also think the organization wants to see if he's got some chemistry with Elias Pettersson. And maybe just have faith that he can, do more on his own because he's, been more impressive so far.
Yeah, that's probably why they want to do that. And, Willander, Pettersson, I mean, in a dream world, I wonder if we see that happen this year. At some time, maybe like Willander gets his 2 months in the AHL or his 1 month in the AHL, gets called up, and right away they can move Myers down, have him play with Elias Pettersson, and then have Willander and Marcus Pettersson do their thing, the Swedish connection. Right? Now, I know, like, I don't know, we just ignored Mancini there too, right? Like, why not have Mancini and Mancini and Marcus Pettersson play together at one point too, which would be cool too. Really, really cool. I want to see that too. But I did read this really interesting piece on by The Athletic via Thomas Strantz about, I don't know what his case was. I was trying to like find the angle of what he was trying to say, but he basically listed a bunch of first round picks who played like the least amount of AHL games, like the bare minimum. I'm talking 0 to 2 games, 0 to 4 AHL games. And they were like the cream of the crop. Like you're talking about everyone from like the Charlie McAvoys to the Keandre Millers and whatnot. And then they had a bunch of first round picks who played like hundreds of AHL games and whatnot. And it was like first round bust after bust after bust after bust. And I don't know if he was trying to say that it's like super detrimental for college guys to play a ton in the AHL as opposed to getting the cosign from the big club and just giving them that NHL time. But all in all, what I'm trying to get at is do you? I guess I got to ask you this question: do you think Willander would take it personally if he had to spend a lot of time in the AHL? Like, would is this like a cocky thing? Is this like an arrogance thing? Like, where college free agents or college draft picks, I'm sorry, choose to like. Again, he had a bit of what would you call it? Like what would you call this again when you're not signing your contract? A holdout, I guess, like for a
Yeah.
little bit during the summer, right? And I wonder if some of the conversations were like, "Yo, you better get this guy NHL time right away." No, so maybe like because again, that article is really interesting. Like, why are there a bunch of first round picks that don't play in the AHL as opposed to a lot that do? And it's really interesting to see like guys who barely play in the AHL have way more success like ASAP in their careers. Like they don't need that development time as a first round pick who has some college pedigree to him. So all in all, do you think Willander would take it personally if he had to spend a whole year in Abbotsford?
I certainly hope not. And if he does take it personally, he's not cut out for the NHL, man. But just from hearing Willander talk, I don't think he'd take it personally. Like he talks about wanting to get better every day. The holdout does give me some pause
Yeah.
on that. But the one thing about that article from Drance that I found interesting is that Tom Willander had 2 years in college and then made the jump here, right? Whereas a guy like Mike Matheson, for instance, who was maybe one of the comparables that spent some time in the AHL, who ended up being a good player. And it's the guy that I've kind of compared Tom Willander to quite a bit here on the show. Every Dayers know. A lot of those guys on that list, spent like 3 years at college and then spent some time in the AHL. Like the Stars, sure, yeah, they spent 2 years in college and then made the jump. But even like I think about a guy like Brock Faber too, right? Like Brock Faber obviously has some comparables to Tom Willander as well with the speed. Brock Faber also spent 3 years at college. Tom Willander spent 2. So I don't think Tom Willander should be worried in the slightest if he doesn't make this team out of a camp. Just, he's got the wheels, he's got the defensive mentality, but just go work on your game, play a ton in Abbotsford. Like, I think that's the best thing for him. And I found it like, I did enjoy that from Drance, but I think you got to take it with a grain of salt a little bit too, that he's just saying that like, look, these are the outcomes that have happened. It's not necessarily going to paint Tom Willander into a specific light though, because again, he's 2 years removed from college, whereas a lot of the time some of those defensemen would spend 3 years in college.
Yeah, really, really interesting piece. And again, Tom Willander, I don't know if he's going to take it personally. Again, interesting guy. Again, the holdout and whatnot. Just, you might have different views on what he wants to do with his career, boom, bam. But he's just in a really interesting predicament where Valentino Martini Mancini is like legitimate, right? As opposed to like being potentially like the next Derek Forbert or like the next number 6 guy. Mancini has a chance to just, I don't know, showcase him being like a potential top 4 talent. And it kind of throws things, I wouldn't say against Tom Willander, but it does make it like way harder for him to make the club. And it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, Abbotsford's 10 minutes away, 20 minutes away, 45 minutes away. My bad, you're going to play some games this year. I just hope he doesn't take it personally and enjoys his time with Manny Malhotra. But again, I brought up the whole like, oh, maybe Tom Willander would take it personally, because it was pretty interesting to hear the club. They haven't spoken about this publicly, but it seems to me that they really want Tom Willander to make this team. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I didn't know that was like a must for them. I get it. But
yeah, it's been reported by a couple outlets. I think it would make the organization look good, but don't force feed the kid.
Yeah.
NHL time if he's not ready for it, man. Dude, come on. It's sometimes it's better to lose your virginity at 18, 19 when you're a little bit more experienced.
Okay, man. Let's get to some comments. I don't know if you favored anything, but boom, bam. Okay, NGK said, was Cootes in the lineup today for the Abbotsford game? He isn't. Do you want to read into that? Like, what do you think that means?
Well, I think Alvin alluded to it yesterday. He's going to get another chance. He skated with the big boy group, the Hughes, the Pettersson group, mostly NHL players. Alvin said, like, he's being asked questions about his 9-game edition and all that stuff, but I think Alvin said it right. Like, he's earned another day. I would expect him to play in the Canucks next preseason game on Friday against the Kraken.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I know you don't want to see Braeden Cootes in the lineup, the full-time NHL lineup ASAP. You're totally against that. You don't want to see the young man have his dreams come true yet. You want him to eat Seattle dogs and be down there, you know, paying for everything in American cash. You know, you'd rather have Braeden Cootes support the American economy than the Canadian economy. You said that yesterday. But all in all, I think I think he's gonna surprise us, man. I think he's gonna play the 9 games. I think he's going to play the 9 games, and I really think it's because Aatu Räty didn't take a step. That's my theory. And Trevor, I want to ask you that. Can we end on that question? And not to get super scary about this, but you were at camp. I feel like, again, Räty had the injury and whatnot. It was probably impossible for him to take the next step in his development this summer. But that really hurts the Canucks. It does.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to come out here and say that Aatu Räty wasn't good. It just doesn't look like his skating improved, right? Like, again, you watch this guy skate, and it's just like the stride is a bit choppy. Looks like he's working his ass off every time he skates up the ice, where it's a bit more effortless with the guys like, Willander or Pettersson, for instance. But the guy works his ass off. He wins lots of face-offs. He does great in the battle drills. I didn't see him showcase the shot a lot in training camp. Look, I saw hope for Aatu Räty, and honestly, I think that's – to answer the question of who to watch tonight, and I saw it in the comments, he might be the number one guy to watch tonight. Yeah. Playing on a third line on a more, softer Canucks team or less experienced Canucks team alongside Kravtsov and Chase Stillman.
Yes.
So Aatu Räty will be a guy certainly to watch tonight in Abbotsford. I'll be watching tonight as well. One last comment to get to quick. Kyle, I didn't talk to you about this, but Brian is saying always changing the time. I just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks, sticking with us as we hop around the time here. I did have a chat with the boss man, so I think we'll be announcing hopefully, a somewhat more firm time moving forwards here.
That's okay, man. People miss the live show. It does kind of suck because I know people like the experience of, communicating, being a part of the programming here. But you can always watch the show later and be like, we're trying to figure it out, right? Big J, Journo, Trevor, doing his thing. We'll get a time cemented, and it's preseason for us too, bro. It's preseason for us too. That being said, it's been a fun last couple of weeks, man. Like, I'm really, and I'm just praying that the excitement does not go away by the time November ends. But as a sports fan, I don't know. I'm just like curious, super curious about what the puck is going to happen with this club. Isn't it crazy how, and it's a good thing. Like, it's good that, I don't know, training camp is, open on Thursday or Friday, and it's refreshing that you and I have not had to, talk about Elias Pettersson a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just, again, I think that's why I'm more excited about the season than I thought I would, because he is the biggest story. But, again, we have other things to talk about, and shout out to Braeden Cootes. Shout out to Valentino Martini Mancini, for real. Those two guys, They're making me look at the future a lot differently.
100%, man. Hit the like button, subscribe to the show if you believe Elias Pettersson is going to bounce back. Has been a lot of fun, man. And like you said, last year by November, things are a little bleak. So let's keep it going, both for the Vancouver Canucks and here Locked On Canucks. My name's Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan, carrying the weight here on Locked On Canucks. We appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you. I'm off to Abbotsford tonight, and we'll see you here tomorrow on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.